Welcome to another episode of Container Farming with FarmAnywhere. Today we're going to be planting some Selenova lettuce seeds that are pelleted into the system, and we'll go through the whole process from planting the seeds, putting into the nursery, then taking the nursery and taking from the nursery into the main grow room. In terms of timeline, we're looking at 1 to 14 days in the seedling room. And then from the seedling, we transplant into the main room. And then you're looking anywhere between another 14 to 21 days or so. Let's get going. Like anything in a container farm, we want to be able to start with everything as clean as possible. And that starts with our work surface. So I got some Sanitol right here. We're just going to be spraying, and then we're just going to be cleaning our surface here. All right, the next thing is I'm gonna put some gloves on for two reasons. One, to keep it clean. Also, we're using rock wool today as our medium to plant the seeds in, and it's a little itchy sometimes. So adding some gloves really helps. So basically, we're gonna take out our tray. So those are 98 cells rock wool trays that we get from a wholesaler. And this is a 10 by 20 tray. This one is brand new, so we're just gonna we did a bit of a cleanup beforehand. But you could clean it with hydrogen peroxide or something like that if we're reusing it. So as you can see, it's all ready to go. So all we need to do is open up the bag like this. And we're gonna be dropping it right into the 10 by 20 trays like that. So as you can see, it fits perfectly. All right, so next we're gonna be watering our rock wool pad inside. So the pH is a little bit different than what we want. It's a little higher. It's in the 7 pH mark. So normally people like to pH it down to 5.8, and we'll make another video on how to do that. But because we're doing commercial operation here, we don't have time to start doing different batches and all that. So we're just gonna water it with just hot water from the sink. The irrigation system that we use is advanced enough that when we put it in, it can compensate for the pH difference right away, and it doesn't affect the seeds whatsoever. So once we have our tray right here, we're just gonna put it into the sink. The reason why I like to use hot water to prep the rock wool is because it allows me to kickstart the sprouting process. So we do have heated mats in the nursery, but just having a hot rock wool mat just helps. So I know just with the weight that it's ready to go, just by doing it long enough. You know that with a certain weight, the rock wool is saturated with water. So that's done. So the holes that we have is a little bit small. It's a little bit annoying. So I just like to have this little seeding tool here. And I'm just gonna go into every single one of the plant space and just spread the rock wool a little bit just to allow me to put the seeds in properly. And I'm gonna do the entire tray like that. And then next we're going to be planting the actual seeds. All right, so I have it on in the actual cover here, and then there's little tools that you could get as well too, but I'm not using it for now. So basically I'm going to go like this in the entire tray, one by one. And we're gonna bring that to the nursery after. So have fun watching the time lapse. So another version of this is pretty much the exact same process, but instead of watering the rock wool before you seed, you leave the rock wool all dry, and it allows you to do a big batch of rock wool that's pre-seeded, let's say on a night shift or something like that. And then when you're ready on your day shift for operation, because your rock wool mats are already all seeded, all you have to do is add water and throw it into your nursery. And so it saves a lot of time, and it creates a bit of a better process if you're doing a large amount of volume. Also, another thing too to mention is that we're doing it by hand here, just for the video, because it's a smaller batch. But there is seeding machines that can do this in a fraction of the time that we'll be showing you in another video. All right, so the next thing is I got like a little label. Now, if you're using good agricultural practice and you're also using a software to be able to do your tracking, you have like a proper label with a barcode. In this case, because it's an R&D farm and we're doing all kinds of tests, we're not doing that part today. Eventually we may do it though. So we just wrote on a tape what we grew, the date, the lot number of the seeds, where it came from and who did it. And we're just gonna tape it up like this so we can keep track. And now we're gonna send this inside the nursery so that we can leave it there for 7 to 14 days, depending on how it goes. All right, so now I'm in the nursery in the back of the container farm. So the procedure is we took the seeds, we put them into the lobby just because the seeds are stored there. Then we bring them all the way back to the back of the farm in the nursery room here. And then the process from there is in the main grow room and then harvested, out it goes. So you never go back on your own steps, super efficient. Also the seedlings, they're in the back of the container to protect them as much as possible. So that door, whenever you're receiving supplies, could expose to potential pests. So therefore, we put them at their most vulnerable state as far away as possible from the front door. So we moved a little bit of the trays here just to kind of show you a little bit the different stages. So first things first, in the morning, what we'll do is remove the domes. Inside the dome, it's 80% humidity, and you don't want them to get too used to that kind of humidity because then they'll become leggy or stretchy seedlings, it's called. So by removing the domes, you kind of acclimatize them as much as possible to the main container farm. And another thing too is in the nursery, we have a little bit higher humidity than in the main grow room. So they're capable of handling that kind of change and being able to adapt itself to the next environment that they're gonna go in. So once the dome is removed like so, and everything is dried up inside the dome, we'll put them back at night, by the way, as well. So every night we just put the domes right back. And then we're gonna weigh the actual 10 by 20 tray and see if there's enough water in it. Because they're on heated mats, there's evaporation that happens, there's dehumidification that happens through the HVAC system, and we wanna be sure that we're not gonna be running out of water on the seedlings. So just with weight, I can find out really quickly. Every single actions that we do inside the farm has consequences on time, has consequences on the bottom line of the farm to break even. And therefore, by us putting proper water at the very beginning stage, like we saw in the video, it allows us to remove steps like having to re-water the rock wool again to keep the seedlings alive. So we know that the water is all good here, we're good to go. This one is fresh, we just did that seedling there. This one is a week away from transplant, and this one is ready for a transplant. So I know I'm gonna transplant them very soon. So what I'll do as well, once in a while, not mandatory, but I'll take them and I'll just throw them in underneath the main grow lights here. And that enables them to get adjusted to the new grow lights, which are way more powerful and has different spectrum as well too. So they can kind of be a little bit shaken by it and kind of stall their growth. So by doing that, we kind of help that situation. So that's it for how to start lettuce in the container farm and how to handle the nursery section. Next, we're gonna be transplanting it in the main grow room. So like, subscribe, follow us. We're gonna go through all the different crops that we do inside the farm, kind of show you the tips and tricks for being efficient, growing quality crops, and how the procedures work inside being a container farm.